we have to dig into. But those are the things that we're following up with because you know that we still have the midterm elections and how that's going to negatively impact us this year. So really on the city and state levels, you got to go and check about your local governors, your sheriffs, your police chiefs, and everything like that, because you know that happens periodically. Your school board leaders and everything like that. You want to go double check that because a lot of stuff happens throughout the year, every year that nobody pays attention to, and we wonder why change doesn't happen. Is because we don't make change happen. And I'm just going to encourage you, since it's a semi-election year, you want to get your ass out there and vote. Put your 2 cents in. If you don't like the way shit's been going for the last 2 years, say something. You don't like how the judges have been ruling, you say something. Make sure that you go find the judge's ballot for your county, and when you see the judge that you don't like, vote against them. Get out there and put your 2 cents in. You know what I mean? Um, it's just you gotta make change where change is needed. Now, today we're going to be talking about Denmark, and we're going to be talking about potentially investing or at least establishing some type of employment from there, whatever the case may be. We're going to be getting that done today. And we do have a different show every day of the week, and it's always something different. Even if we cover a similar topic, it's always something different. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're dealing with your money. We're dealing with how politics impacts your money on Monday, and how to invest or save. Like yesterday, Tuesday, we were talking about bank accounts and health savings accounts on how to invest. Um, Wednesday, which is today, we deal with different countries around the world that you can either live in or invest in or make some money out of, right? Then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, personal development, relationship topics, self help, self improvement, work improvement, being able to negotiate and navigate your way through your workplace. All of that stuff happens Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then Sundays are questions and comments from the fans. So if you come in on Sunday, you got a wild question. As long as it's appropriately structured, we try to address it. Rest of the week, we try our best to stick to the topic. So with that being said, if you're watching us from Twitter, if you're watching us from Twitch, y'all already know that y'all can come in, put your comments in. I'll address them. If you're coming in from YouTube, whether it's the long form 16 by 9, where the information is at the bottom of the screen, or the vertical form 9 by 16, where the information is at the top of the screen, you put your 2 cents in, and we'll be able to address you guys as well. Uh, just keep your comments appropriate. We got Mike in the comments section. He's watching. He ain't been hitting that trigger button, boy, but I tell you what, I've been watching some people come through here, and I just been like, bloop. I'm getting to a point where I'm zero tolerance. Like as soon as they come up there with something sideways, I'm like, banned. I ain't even gonna. I'm not even gonna give him a timeout. See, Michael would have gave him some mercy. I'm not even gonna give him a timeout. I'm just like banned. Anything negative, banned. You don't got to agree with me. I don't. If you don't agree with me, we'll debate that for 45 minutes. You don't have to agree with me. But I mean, if you just say something just outright negative, just to be negative, banned. I'm not even. Especially if it's off topic. It's just off topic negativity, banned. I'm I'm not supporting it. So if Michael don't hit the button, I'm hitting the button. Got to, he said his finger was itching, but we had work to do. We had work to do. He was watching comments disappear, and he wasn't responsible for that. You better get him before I do. He said, "Who needs mercy?" You're right. Now, check it out. If you guys have been dreaming about moving to Denmark for a high paying job and some incredibly awesome like work life balance, you guys need to stop what you're doing and listen up because that's what we're talking about today. The Danish government is overhauling its immigration system. Middle finger to the United States. Some new rules for 2026 are already confirmed, and while others are in the final stages of approval, but their direction is still crystal clear. So things are getting much stricter in some areas, while very specific new doors are creaking open in other areas. So this is why more than just a minor tweak is going to be involved here. It's going to be huge. We're talking about major jumps in salary requirements in order to be out there, brand new application routes that you have to perform, and even potential freezes on pathways that people used to rely on for years. So tonight's show, we're going to give you a guide to the new reality. I'm going to break it down exactly what's changing based on the latest political agreements and official announcements. I'll show you who these new rules might unfortunately lock out. And then I'll walk you through the exact strategies that you need to be thinking about right now if Denmark is in your future. Now, it's complicated. This is going to be a pretty decent shift. But by the end of tonight's show, you'll have a clear, realistic, and actionable plan for making the move to one of the world's happiest countries, allegedly. Hold on, he said Denmark, Greenland, all to be part of America on the Columbia. Is that a vote? Well, you see what they did to Venezuela. Shout out to Dylan. Dylan jumped up here like, oh, Venezuela's free. Man, when I finally got a chance to look at the headlines about that, Venezuela just got conquered by the US because Donald Trump wanted oil. They have not been freed of tyranny. They were dominated for their oil. I was like, wow. I said it before I saw the headlines, but when I went back to saw the headline, there are some times in my life where I wish I wasn't right. I'm not gonna lie. There's some situations that be happening like this where I just wish I wasn't right about it, but I'm always right about it. I'm right. Outside of that one situation when we were talking about that Axe deodorant and when it came from, that's like the only time. No, it was Old Spice. We were talking about Old Spice, and that's the only time that I have ever not had all the knowledge related to the situation and the foresight to be able to predict the outcome. Everything else we talked about, I knew what was happening before I got my foot in the water. Then when I go back and cover it, now I'm like, shit. Not only was I right, I was extra right. But it's cause and effect. It's a lot of cause and effect. So one of the reasons why you cover all the countries around the world and you start paying attention to what's going on everywhere else, where I'm not getting into drama. I'm not trying to figure out who's having a TMZ affair with who. I'm trying to figure out where my money going and where it's coming from. And see when they go rob Venezuela for their oil, that's gonna be money in my pocket because I got Exxon, Shell, and Chevron on my core satellite strategy. So when they go rob them and my stocks go up, that benefits me. Hey, if if you would have been investing in counterterrorism before 2011, you would have been rich in 2012. Just saying. Capitalize on everything. Natural disaster, stupidity, ignorance, which is not the same. Laziness, capitalize on everything. Desperation. As a capitalist country, we're gonna capitalize on everything. I'm gonna turn a profit. If something bad is happening, I should turn a profit. Let somebody slip and fall. I'm gonna make some money off some paper towels. I'm gonna invest in Charmin. Now, as it pertains to Denmark, look, right? If you don't, someone will. You damn right, because there was a demand there. The floor wet. There's a demand there. There's a demand for mops, paper towels, mop buckets, um, washcloths, those little chamois, bro. I'm trying to tell you, there's a whole market. Well, if I don't get in on get some money, somebody gonna do it. Had some folks tell me earlier that you're a massage. Look, let me talk about this real quick before we go into Denmark. So I was scrolling through some TikTok, right? And this one chick put up this article talking about some um um Why make no? She the question was worded something to the magnitude of like, should they put more regulations on guns, uh, or should they just stop allowing people to have guns? Something to that effect, and one of those anti-gun comments. And then I was like, well, instead of making law to make it harder to get guns, why don't they make consequences for when the guns are being misused? Because the majority of school shootings happen from somebody's child taking the guns from somebody's parent and then shooting up school. And that child can only gain access to that firearm because the parent who had the gun didn't properly store the gun. Right? Now, when I said that, they came and told me how misogynistic I was because they bust out with, oh, and men who are domestic violent, and oh, you should be da da da. Da. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait, hold on, because women are more violent than men. And that's not what today's show is supposed to be about. But I said, look, women are more violent than men, hands down. And I'm not saying this to pick on women, but it is because women are allowed to be that way. A woman can slap her man, she can punch and kick her man, she can throw a drink on her man. If he cheats on her, she can boil hot grits with butter and then throw it on him because he shouldn't have done that. If he cheats on her, she can take a baseball bat, some spray paint, and a brick and fuck his shit up. And her homegirls are gonna cheer her on about that. They're not gonna try to stop her. If she gets mad, she can mace somebody on a misunderstanding. You know what I'm saying? All of this stuff that can happen, and that is outside of just getting beat on. Look, right? No, she can't. She ain't getting away with it. She gonna get hurt. but but the thing is that men don't report when a woman slaps him, when a woman punches him, kicks him, kick him out the bed, throw stuff at him. If she's emotional and she throws something and hit you in the back of the head, it hurt, but you rub your head until it stop hurting. You're not gonna call the police about domestic violence. So the when I made the comment, and I'm like, look, men don't report it. So just because statistics show that more women report abuse from a man than men report abuse from a woman doesn't mean that women aren't more abusive than men. It just means that more women report the abuse. The abuse is not fair on either side, and it shouldn't happen on either side. But the females don't report the females report more abuse than the men. Men don't report being beat up by their girlfriend the way they don't report being assaulted. So if somebody come and take a man's guts, he is not about to call nobody and tell nobody about that. He gonna keep that a secret to himself. You know what I mean? They A man has lost his masculinity when he becomes a special victim. Y'all know what I'm talking about. CSI. Special shout out to Leonardo. More people are bitten by chihuahuas than pit bulls. You're right. And less people report the chihuahua, but the pit bulls get put down. But you hear about that damn pit bull though. Let somebody get bit by a pit bull, that pit bull getting put to sleep. Let them get bit by a chihuahua, they shake it off. And that's the same thing. So these people come and telling me how misogynistic I was, and I was like, bro, this conversation was a gun rights conversation, and it was supposed to be talking about like, should we make it harder to get a gun? And I'm just like, why not? And look, it brings me back to every show that I have. Why not hold people responsible for their negligence, accountability? And I think that's what triggered the person. Because the person that was objecting to my comment was a female, unfortunately. I wish it would have been a dude. That way I could have had something to argue with. But it was a female. And she was arguing so hard because she got triggered because I'm like, hold the adults who own the gun responsible because I got one right here and I can reach it. And that means anyone standing next to me can reach it. So if they take it, go down the street and pop somebody, if mine wasn't properly stored, I'm supposed to receive the consequences for that, right? If I leave it on the counter, go to the bathroom, it's not here when I come back. I didn't properly store it. So if an adult got guns at the house and they child take the gun at the house and they don't know the gun is not in the house and that child knock off 5 people, mama or daddy or whoever owned the gun should be standing right next to him in criminal court with them 5 felonies. And even if the child get killed, in the police altercation. The adult over the child should be sitting in a criminal courtroom because that gun got out of his hands. That's what I said. But they come chopping me up. So I just want y'all to know I'm a neutral individual. I'm not far left. I'm not far right. I vote Democrat, but Democrats do some stuff that I question. I respect the money that I can make off of Republican side, but I got a Democratic finance. So at the same time, I tell everybody, look, from a uniformity perspective, if you flip the script and it ain't fair now, where you are now on the receiving end of the bullshit, if it ain't fair now, then it's never fair. And if that's the case, it shouldn't happen. If I don't like it when it happens to me and you don't happen, if you don't like it when it happens to you, then it shouldn't happen to anybody. You know what I mean? That's where I come from. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's wrong. If it's socially unacceptable because it doesn't benefit one group, it shouldn't benefit any group. That's the point, right? So back to today's show. Before we get into the legal details and salary numbers, let's just remember why everyone wants to move to Denmark in the first place. And I wanted to get that off my chest because I was like, that is some bullshit. Because we're about to talk about one of the happiest places on earth. We're going to figure out why that is. So this small Nordic kingdom is such a magnet for global talent, right? And it all comes down to what people call the Danish dream, almost like the American dream. You might want to stop and think about that for a second. But it's this idea of a life where you can have a killer career without sacrificing your personal life. Year after year, Denmark tops the charts for happiness, quality of life, and that all important work life balance. And it's not a myth. The standard work week is 37 hours, not 40, not 50, 37. And that's not just a number on a piece of paper. It is a critical rule. Leaving the office at 4 p.m. to pick up your kids or hit the gym isn't just okay, it is completely normal. The thought of your boss calling you at 8 p.m. is almost a joke in most Danish workplaces. Then there's a vacation. By law, by law, every full time employee gets 5 weeks paid vacation. Bitch, let me get 5 weeks. I don't even know if I'll come back. Look, many union agreements, known as collective bargaining agreements, push that 5 week vacation to 6 weeks. And that time is sacred. They ain't calling you on your day off. This is going to be for recharging, traveling, and actually living your best life. It's a core belief that people work better when they're rested and happy, not when they're burnt out. And I agree. I'm fucking burnt out all the time. Sometimes I get my A game and sometimes I'm doing C status. Beyond the job, the Danish dream is propped up by a welfare state that gives you a deep sense of security. It's a highest trust security where you feel looked after. Great health care is a universal right. Education is, even at the university level, pretty much free. And there are strong safety nets. If you lose your job, plus some of the best parental leave policies on the planet. So if you get fired, you still got a safety net. And if you got to go take care of your kids, you got a safety net. And yeah, there's some high taxes, way more than what we would like to have in America. But in the return, you get a level of public service and security that's hard to find anywhere. I'm not gonna lie. If they would have raised taxes 3% so that I could have free healthcare, I'd have paid that shit. I go to the doctor more often. Because if it's free healthcare, not free healthcare with a copay. I'm talking about free healthcare. Like I can just show up. I don't mind standing in line like the DMV if I'm about to get free. What? I go on my day off. All of my appointments will happen on my day off. Now, this mix of forward thinking economy and a genuine respect for personal time is what makes Denmark so attractive because it promises you can work in a cutting edge field like tech or green energy and still have a life. And that's what's at stake. Is that what I used to do was to take 3 day vacations with 2 regular days off, giving me 5 days vacation. So I get 4 to 5 day vacation. Right. But see, what you have to do is you have to wait until you've worked on a job in the magnitude where they're giving you 2 days off in a row. Then you're going to try to set up a vacation where it starts either 3 days before your 2 scheduled days off or 3 days after your 2 scheduled days off so that you have a 5 day vacation. Then, if you want to try to stretch it a little further, you might cash in 2 or 3 of your sick days, or you might cash in 2 or 3 of your PTO days. That way, if you cash in 3 sick days, 3 PTO days, 3 vacation days, that's 9 days plus 2 days off in a row. Now you got 11 days. But you see how you got to finagle your way into getting 2 weeks off from work. When in Denmark, they're talking about 6 weeks is a month and a half mandatory off time, not voluntary, mandatory. Take your ass home and we're going to pay you to stay home for 6 weeks. I mean, it's almost like that furlough that happened in October, except everybody was paid in advance to take their ass at home. Yeah, I'd be down for that. You talk about what? Oh, it's time. Let me slide. I'd be planning trips to leave the day after my vacation start and come back the day before my vacation end. 5 weeks somewhere else. I'd be gone. And they're not gonna call you. They're not gonna call you. They're not gonna call you in on your day off. You ain't gotta cover Joe Schmo shift or nothing to that effect. You are done for 6 weeks. Mandatory. It's like being benched or like being LeBron James shoes. Like finally you get to rest. Now, for years, the path to this dream was relatively clear for skilled professionals. Now the government is redrawing the map. So they're trying to make sure the welfare system stays strong and that immigrants fill the most urgent job shortages. But the result is that the drawbridge is going up for some of the other ones because while very narrow, specific gates are opening for others. So understanding that the key to figuring out the huge shakeup we're about to break down is going to make things more beneficial for you. So let's get into some specifics because based on the official announcements from Danish authorities like ICER or I is Siri. Oh Lord, yeah, they did say that. They said Siri. I'm like eyesore. What the hell? No, it's Siri. Look, y'all, I need glasses. SIRI, not the one on your cell phone. The Danish government. Yeah, them folks. Uh, this is the Danish Agency for International Recruitment and Integration, which is like IRI Siri, but that's what they got up there. All right, I got you. I'll buy it. But it's a major political purpose or proposal. Sorry, a major political proposal. The immigration game is going to be changing based on that proposal. So to make it clear, I'm going to break it down into the most important shifts that you're going to need to understand for 2026. First up, the most popular route for international professionals, the pay limit scheme or below Sordeninji. Below Sordeninji. I am going to be learning languages around this bitch. For a long time, this badly pronounced phrase was simple: get a job, offer above a certain salary. So just have them offer you a lot of shit. And then you can get a work permit. Your specific job title didn't matter as much as it is right now. But starting in 2026, this pathway has a higher price entry. So the official 2026 threshold for the regular pay limit scheme has been announced, and it requires a minimum annual salary of 514,000 DKK. This is a clearly significant bar to clear. There is also the existing supplementary pay limit scheme, which targets professionals in fields with a slightly uh, laborious shortage. So for 2026, this minimum salary is going to be set at about 415 DKK. Now, one of the things I want to check in real quick, what the is a DKK? So let's see. 415,000 DKK to US dollars. Ooh, my goodness. I didn't put enough zeros on the back of that one. There it is. $64,085. No, $64,859. So just under $65,000 is the 415,000 DKK. So when they said 514, that's probably going to be like 75 grand. Oh, that says six. See, when you're thinking and typing at the same time, yeah, 80,000. Wow, that's deep. So, what's this going to mean for you? For those of you that are trying to go to Denmark, one Danish kroner equal 0.16. They're sitting over here talking about 415,000 of them. So between 415,000 and 514,000, between 65,000 and 80,000 is how much you need to make to go live in Danish country. So if you make under 80,000 a year, under 50,000 a year, they're not going to take you in. They're not going to take you in. You might be, if you get a tourist visa, you'd be lucky. The main, most flexible high salary route now requires an income of over half a million kroner for every senior level expert. And that's doable. But for many mid level professionals, hitting that new 510,000, that target is going to be a much bigger challenge to meet. So this is probably the biggest and most talked about change. But it's critical to know this is still a proposal that is expected to become law and take effect 7 days ago. So it hasn't been finally passed by the preliminaries yet. So details could still change over the next couple weeks. He said, social democracy party is Denmark. Well, I mean, if they're asking everybody to make almost 100 grand a year, they doing something right because we got motherfuckers in America that's making 24,000 a year and proud of it or less. Now, here's how it's designed to work. The government's plan is to let certain Danish companies become certified. To get this status, a company would have to meet strict criteria, like having at least 10 employees, a clean legal record, and this is crucial. The job must be covered by a Danish collective bargaining agreement. Is that 33 to 40% of your salary goes for taxes? Shit, that's taxes. No wonder they expected you to make 80,000, because if you making 100,000 and you giving them 40,000, you only get 60,000 anyway. And that's a lot of taxes. Now, if a company becomes certified, it can hire foreign workers at a much lower salary. Minimum salaries of DKK is going to be 30,000 a year. I mean 300,000 DKK a year, which is at the rate it was going, probably closer to 45,000. But here's going to be the catch with that: the new lower salary pathway would be restricted by nationality. Ooh, that mean I can't go. All right, so check this out. It is going to be planned exclusively for citizens of 16 specific non-EU countries. The ones that will be allowed to benefit from this lower rate is going to be, first and foremost, the United States. Duh. The United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, India, China, Japan, Singapore, Brazil, Malaysia, Ukraine, Moldova, Albania. Oh no, Albania and North Macedonia, Serbia, and Montenegro. No, that's Montenegro. They got Negro in there. Okay, so check it. Basically, the 16 most important countries in the world, they wanted them to go to Danish country. Their passports aren't from one of those countries. You have to have one of those countries. The passports isn't from one of those countries. This new 300,000 route won't be for you. So if you're not coming from one of those 16 countries, they're not going to give you this money. The proposal is also going to be including a safeguard. It could be paused if Denmark's national unemployment rate rises above 3.75%, which we have never seen. Now, the third major shift is a direct and impactful one for foreign doctors, dentists, and nurses. Listen to the prestige in two out of three of those jobs. There have been strong signals and reports that Denmark may implement a temporary halt on issuing resident permits for some foreign medical professionals who need to get their qualifications authorized in the country. Specifically, there are concerns that the quota for these professionals could be set to zero for all of 2026, starting from mid December 2025. And this would be done to clear a significant backlog of existing applications that have not been processed yet. While this isn't officially confirmed across the board on public announcements as of now, it is a serious risk to be aware of if that's what something you was trying to do because you make more money than LeBron James. I'm gonna keep ragging on him because between him and Chris Brown, first sight, I've been talking shit about Chris Brown since I found out he tossed 19 girls down flights. I was like, golly, he be he be fight night all of his girlfriends. I don't know what's going on. Um, now, if the freeze happens, it means that if you are a non EU doctor, dentist, or nurse hoping to move to Denmark in 2026 to complete your authorization process, that specific pathway could be closed already. So if you haven't applied for it and got the ball rolling, you might have to wait till 2027. Now, this won't affect those who already have their Danish authorizations, but for new applicants needing to go through the process, the door could be shut until 2027. So make sure that you pay attention to that. Now, this situation is too simple and complicated at the same time. Now, this is going to mean that we're going to have to watch it very closely, give you guys some updates as we find out about it. Finally, though, let's talk about the positive list. Okay, good side of things. This has always been the key route into Denmark. It's basically a list of jobs where the country has a labor shortage. If your profession is on the list and you have the right qualifications, you can get a work permit, often without needing to meet the high salary demand of the pay limit scheme. This list is updated twice a year, January and July 1st. So, January 1st and July 1st. So, if you missed the January list, you can get in 6 months. For 2026, the list is split into two parts, one for people with a higher education and one for skilled workers. The crucial thing to understand is that this list is alive. It is not cold calls. A job that was on the last year list might be gone this year because they filled the position. This is a live list. So for anyone applying in 2026, you can't rely on old information. Your only source of truth is the latest, most recently receivable version published on the official government website. If you downloaded one from last year, you might as well hang that shit up and go download one from last week. They have a place if you want, if you guys are interested in it, they have a place that you can go and take a look at what jobs they offer in Denmark and see if that's something that you might want to consider. Here's I'm gonna put the link up here. What is that? Denmark.dk. That's where you want to go if you're interested in some stuff about that. Now the pathway is still incredibly important, but it demands that you check the most current list right when you are ready to apply. Because if you've got an idea in mind, just like if you wanted to buy a house, you have to keep checking the listings up until the day that you go and talk to your real estate agent to make sure that the house is still available. Same thing you got to do with these jobs. You decide that you want to swing over there by Denmark, go live in Denmark, you have to check and see if the job that you're qualified for is still available right before you go to apply. So, a brief recap of what we got going on right now so far. We have higher official salary thresholds, a purpose uh, from the proposal for a new route that will give you specific nationalities in the 16 countries that I named earlier and certified companies. Then they're going to be putting a potential freeze on the medical professionals seeking authorization and a constantly changing list of in demand jobs. Now, this is the new, more complex Danish immigration system. That's going to suck for us. So the big question is going to be with those new rules, who's going to find it harder to get into Denmark if that's where you're trying to go? Because me, I'm trying to go to like the Philippines, Japan, something like that, preferably Japan. And one of the reasons why I wanted to go to Japan is because, well, Japanese girls are awesome. But I'm okay with a Filipino girl as well because they're equally extra helpful. If you've ever been on a customer service call from the Philippines, you will find the only frustration you have is they're trying really, really hard to help you in all the wrong ways, but at least they have the effort to try to help you. And I just sit there and I think, no matter how stressed I get in the moment, I think to myself, I would prefer to be in an argument where my partner is trying extra hard to help me so that I can negotiate how I get help versus being in an argument with a partner that doesn't want to do shit for me, where I gotta do everything for the both of us. All I'm saying is we got a passport, bro it up. Got to get the dog a bigger passport. They're gonna be looking at me like, "You getting your dog a passport?" Fuck yeah, I get the dog a passport. We're both flying first class. Now, the reforms are clearly designed to be more selective. So let's be realistic about who's probably going to be struggling on this. The first mid-income professionals in the non-shortage fields are going to be suffering. This is probably the biggest group. So think of someone with a good degree and experience in a field like marketing or human resources or general business administration. Y'all not gonna find nothing this year. Before, if they got a job offer that met the old ways, the lower pay limit, they were set. But now, nah, that's not going to happen because with the main pay limit being at 514,000, that path is much tougher to get through because you're not making enough money. You'll get the job, but the job won't offer you enough money to qualify for the visa. So a mid-level marketing manager might not get an offer high enough to meet the standard, so you would have to have more money somewhere else. And if their job also isn't specialized enough to be on the positive list, they're stuck in the middle where you got a job that doesn't pay enough, or you qualify for, or there is a job opening that pays enough that you don't qualify for. That's like the middle. That's the middle ground. Now, they might earn too little for the pay limit scheme, and their job is too common for the shortage list, which means they're stuck. Second workers come from countries not on the proposed new scheme list. Now, that new certified employer scheme with its attractive 300,000 DK threshold sounds great, but only if you have the right passport. So, as I proposed, the list is going to be limited to those 16 countries. So, if you're a skilled professional, you meet that expectation. You're at the top of the list, but you come from Pakistan, Nigeria, the Philippines, or any other country that's not on the list. This is more accessible route simply not for you because you're not going to be on the list. Even if your proposal passes, you're still not going to qualify on the list for more demanding routes like the high paying salary pay limit scheme or the positive list. So this is going to create clearly a nationality bias based system for this particular path. And then a third aspiring doctor, dentist, nurse situation needing Danish authorizations. This is going to be a very direct uh, scenario through uh, potentially temporary lockouts. So you might get in, but you're going to get in eventually. So as we discussed, if the reports of freezing occurs, the pathway for foreign trained medical staff to come to Denmark specifically to get their credentials authorized could be shot down for the rest of the year. Now, this would mean thousands of medical professionals who were planning their move will be told to wait for another year and or use other channels. And this major roadblock for a very specific and vital group of people is going to piss off so many more. Now, the fourth thing is employees of small startups and non-union companies, where if we went to another country like going to Denmark and we tried to start up a business that was a foreign domestic, we're a non-union company and a small startup, the proposed certified employer scheme sounds good, but not every company will qualify for it. The suggested criteria is going to be pretty strict. At least 10 employees, 2 years in the business, which means you're going to have to hang out for a while, covered by a collective agreement and a perfect legal record, meaning you ain't never done nothing that got you sanctioned or investigated or anything to that effect. And this will likely exclude many new, exciting startups. It would also rule out businesses in industries that don't typically use collective agreements. So if you get a job at one of these companies, they won't be able to use that $300,000 DKK pathway to hire you. And you'd both have to rely on a much more expensive pay limit scheme than what you thought. Now, this change definitely favors larger, more established companies. So you can't just fly out there and say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna bring all my homies with me." No, sir. You're gonna have to get the company built first, wait 2 years, and then hire all your homies. That was a lot of details. I know it can feel overwhelming. I was overwhelmed by saying it. But when your future is in the crosshairs, you've got your future on the line. Those rules, being as complex as they are some key parts that are still waiting for the final vote in the parliament that will directly impact how you move forward. So you got to know about these things. So to make sure that you don't miss any of the updates, I really recommend that you guys take the opportunity to mash those like buttons, hit the subscribe button, go and join the membership because I dump stuff into the membership quite often that helps you guys with being more successful. But if you hit those notification bells, it'll be tracking this show and we'll put you on notice when we have more videos coming out as soon as we recognize that some of those follow laws are passed. We'll be able to give you an update on Denmark. So we'll take Denmark out of turn. Because as soon as they start talking about how they're really going to stick it to us this year, I'll be able to let you know. Also, it's going to be helping you guys make sense of things. So make sure that you show the algorithm that you like where you're at right now, right? And by doing that, it'll help YouTube's algorithm show everybody else who didn't know where we were exactly where we are because your support is going to be making a difference for me, you, and everybody else who gets a chance to watch the show. So let's get back to the solution. After all the challenges, and we're 3/4 of the way through, so we got a little bit more, like another 25 minutes. After all challenges, let's focus on what really matters because your strategy is what really matters. The doors to Denmark aren't completely closed, but the entrances have definitely moved. And if you want to make the move in 2026, you have to be smart and target one of the clear pathways. So let's break down the five main routes. The most direct pathway is still the revised pay limit scheme. Your target is going to be 80,000 US dollars to get in on that. So to put that in rough perspectives, depending on when the transactions happen, when I typed it in earlier, it was like 80 grand. But when I was doing a research on this, it was between 69,000 and 69,000 euros or 74,000 US dollars. But it's about 80 grand. So you want to make sure that you have that accessible to you. Put it on the line. But it's a serious salary because this isn't savings, it's an income. So you're going to have to look at $80,000 of money coming in to be able to get in on any kind of whatever they got going on. It's definitely not out of reach for experienced professionals in valuable fields. But if you're an average Joe Schmo or if you're intro level employee, you're probably not going to qualify for that. Your strategy here is to aim for roles where this pay is standard, where for this path, senior software engineers, experienced data scientists, pharma project managers, and finance specialists are going to be the top pick positions. Your CV needs are going to require to be packed with achievements and matrix, not just a list of duties. You should be applying to large Danish or multinational companies as they're more likely to have the budget to pay you that high salary. This is going to be the premium route, and you need to present yourself as a premium candidate. Now, this is the strategic new play if you are a citizen of one of the 16 eligible countries like the United States, UK, Canada, India, Brazil. Your strategy should involve targeting companies that are likely to get certified if this proposal becomes law. Since the scheme would be there won't be a public list of certified companies right away. So you'll have to look for the signs. Target large established Danish companies, especially in sectors that use collective agreements like manufacturing or logistics. Then look for companies with a long history and a good number of employees, because that means that they can afford the payroll. Then reach and research the specific unions that are common in your industry. Reach out to them and see what's going on because this pathway, while it requires a lot of homework, is going to be a good way to get in because you can't just spray and pray. You need to apply for the right kind of job, and you're going to have to find it at the right kind of company. This is the um, best friend that you're going to need if your salary doesn't hit the high pay limits. This is going to be the positive list. It isn't about how much you earn, it's about what you do. So the list for 2026 have a dozen of job titles where Denmark has declared labor shortages. And your strategy here is going to be simple: alignment. Go to the official website that I put up on the screen and add a study for the current positive list. The search titles are very specific. It won't just say engineer, it will say civil engineer or mechanical engineer. So you need to find the exact match between you and your education. This is when your college degree really pays off because this is going to not only tie to your education, it's going to tie to your experience and the title that is on the list. This is the main route for many engineers, scientists, IT specialists, and technicians. The key is to check the list right before you apply because it's going to change as they fill the demand for the need for the roles. So don't forget that Denmark's world class universities have their own immigration pathways as well. So if you're a scientist, PhD student, or guest researcher with a offer from a Danish university or research institution, you'll likely apply under a specific researcher scheme. These schemes are separate from others and have their own conditions. So, focusing on your research and your hosting agreement. If you have a strong academic background, your strategy should be to network with Danish universities. This is a very stable and respected path for academics and career students. Finally, for the founders and innovators, there's a startup in Denmark scheme. And this isn't for just any business either, for people with an innovative scalable business concept that a panel of experts thinks has real growth potential in Denmark. So you're going to have to go to the Shark Tank of Denmark. And if your startup makes sense, they'll let you knock it out. So to succeed here, you need an outstanding business plan. You submit it to an expert panel, and if they approve it, you can get a permit to establish it. You're, and then you have a company. It's a tough competitive route though, but for the right entrepreneur with a game-changing idea, it's a powerful way in. Um, the alternative path that we're going to look at is one where since we've talked about uh, physically moving to Denmark, what if there was another way to get the best parts of Danish dreams, to get the salary and work-life balance without ever dealing with all that work permit stuff and high taxes or Copenhagen's cost of living, right? This alternative path, building a global remote career that pays you a Danish level salary, but lets you live wherever you want. That's about separating your income from your location. Now, many global tech companies now benchmark their salaries against high cost markets like Copenhagen to attract the best talent, no matter where that talent lives. So, your goal here is to become that talent. And the highest paying remote jobs are consistently in a few key areas because tech and engineering is the king of high paying remote work. Senior software engineers, Devo Ops and cloud engineering, cybersecurity experts, and and data specialists are in consistent global demand, with senior roles often commanding salaries well into the six figures in US dollars. Product growth and design. You don't have to code to earn big. Senior product managers, growth markets, with a proven track record and experienced product designers at global companies are also high compensated occupations. So here's a rough roadmap of what you're going to get from there. 0 to 1 years, skill building. Go all in and learn high demanding skills. Build a portfolio of projects that solve real problems and show actual results. Years 1 to 3, get experience and land your first remote job. It might not be the dream salary yet, but that's okay. Your mission is to collect achievements for your resume. So you want to turn your duties into matrix. Reduce cloud costs by 20% or improve system uptime to 99.99%. Stuff like that. Year 3 to 5, your target 2 top tier positions with skills and proven results, you can now systematically apply to top paying remote companies. You use market data for your role in high cost areas like Denmark to anchor your salary negotiations. The best part is you can adopt the Danish work life balance mindset anywhere. Set strict non negotiable expectations for behavior. Take all your vacation time at one time. Choose companies whose culture values well being and satisfies your expectations. Now, this path isn't a shortcut, it takes immense discipline, but it offers a Danish level income and a lifestyle total geographic freedom. Now, I personally like total geographic freedom because I can do whatever I want to do and then just show up for work whenever they tell me to. Now, before we wrap this up, a few quick but crucial points. First, ETIAS, ETIAS. This is the new European Travel Information and Authorization System. It's important to know that ETIAS is not a work visa. It's a pre-travel check for visa-free visitors, like citizens from the United States or Canada coming for short trips under 90 days. So if you're moving to Denmark to work, you still need a proper residence permit. So if you went there for 90 days on a vacation trip and then you wanted to change that position to a permanent residency scenario, you still got to go through the proper channels. It starts uh, on the day that has also been delayed before. So you got to keep an eye on the latest EU announcements on permit applications. Now, the second permit residence is what we're going to be looking at because getting a work permit is the first step, but to settle into Denmark for good isn't a long road at all. Well, actually, it might be longer than you would hope. Generally, you need to live and work in Denmark for 8 years to apply for permanent residency. It's not that long, not nearly as long as the United States with like 20 years and still trying. 6 year hold for them to put you on a 5 year track for a 2 year application to one day get it. In Denmark, you might be able to shorten that to 4 years, but only if you meet a long list of extra requirements like passing a high level Danish language test and maintaining a very high stable income. These rules are also political and can change periodically. So what's true today might not be in 4 or 8 years. You just got to figure it out. When can you expedite or eliminate your scenario? Finally, there's a common myth of buying properties. Unlike some countries, Denmark does not give you residency just because you buy a house. Buying property gives you zero immigration advantages. You can't buy your way in like you can with the United States with that $5 million Trump visa. Your right to live in Denmark is tied to your work permit or another valid basis. So there you have it. I called it. I did say 25. The Danish immigration system is changing in a huge way. The new rules for 2026 are creating a more demanding, and much more specific system. The path is getting tougher for mid-income generalists and those from countries left off the new proposed scheme. And potential roadblocks are appearing for medical staff, but clear pathways are still there for those who are strategic. Where there's a will, there's a way. You just have to always look for another way. High earner specialists on the positive list. And if the proposal passes, citizens of 16 specific nations who find the right kind of company all have a better shot. Your choice comes down to two main strategies. The first is to go all in on moving to Denmark by perfectly aligning your profile with one of these very specific routes. The second is the alternative. Build a world class remote career that gives you the best parts of the Danish dream with the freedom to live anywhere in the world. And both paths demand planning and long term visions. I keep telling y'all to find yourself a 20-year plan. Even this plan starts off 8 years in the making with 12 years left to get everything situated. But the Danish dream, being still alive, is getting where you want it to be at in 2026, but it requires more strategy than ever before. Now, I hope this guide gave you the clarity that you needed to start planning. And I definitely want to hear from you guys. You want to leave some comments in the comments section and tell me what your single best question about these new rules could be, because I read all the comments and I'll try to answer most of the comments on the show as we go into the future. We just got to get everything rebooted after they finish with our internet system. Um, so we didn't have a lot to do with Denmark, and Denmark had a plethora of problems when you're trying to move somewhere. Because I mean, if they're looking at 80,000, like the standard of living there is tough. But when you get in there, you got a lot of security, you got a lot of safety there. So as we continue checking into different countries around the world, we'll be able to see which ones are more easier to get ourselves into, more affordable for us to spend our money at, and more gratifying with the better work life balance. But my top two is going to be like Japan and the Philippines. But then like I also want Korean, so South Korea too. So that's my top three, right? I think it's because of the K dramas. Either way, all I have left for you now is, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you, ladies, to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And, fellas, while I give you this information to help y'all become higher value men, you have to pay attention to the things that you are capable of changing and putting in effort to make those changes, and then navigating around the things that you can't change. So, knowing that the scale to get into Denmark is over 80 bands, and knowing that you're working on a job that's less than 60 bands, you might not want to go to Denmark. You might want to go to the Philippines, where 24 bands will get you wherever you need to go. You might want to go to Japan, where $10,000 is overkill a year. You got to figure these things out, right? And then you have to set your 20-year plan to make it move, make it happen. Because I know that if I could set up a scenario where 30,000 a year in America and 30,000 a year somewhere else, where $100,000 can go a long way in two countries, I am splitting the difference, right? Especially since Japan's like, oh yeah, we'll pay for your child support too. What? I take that bet any day. But ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, you have to understand, you too can take this information and make yourselves higher value women as well. You just have to prioritize what is better for your future. So, not going to waste too much more of your time. I want to thank you guys for coming to tonight's show. We got a big show ready for you guys for tomorrow. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night.
personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.